Hi everyone, Al Smith here. Welcome to the first lesson on defense. This is a free lesson and it's a summary, an overall summary of the defense strategy and an outline of the course and a boot camp on how to use SharkBridge. Let's go ahead and get started. All right. The goal of this course is to really teach you how to do defense. There's an old adage that says, give a man a fish and he will eat for a day, teach a man how to fish and he will eat for a lifetime. It's kind of the same thing with bridge. Okay, what I'm going to try to do is teach you the logic and the reasons behind why and when you do something, not just what to do. It's much easier to do if you understand the rationale behind the different structures in defense rather than just trying to remember what to do using rote memory. So before we get started, I want to give you kind of an overview of what an SE Academy lesson looks like. First of all, there's the registration process. The registration process is automated, and it's on the SE Carolina Academy page on our website. Okay. On that website, we have a calendar of lessons that are coming up in the next 5 weeks, and also under that, then there is a registration area where there's an icon for each lesson that's coming up in the future, and also an icon for each recorded lesson. The live lessons are $15 and the recorded lessons are $10. Okay, when you register for one of these lessons, what it's going to do is open up a screen that allows you to put in your name and your email address, and then it's going to ask you for payment. Okay, and when this occurs, it says it'll ask you to go to PayPal. When you go to PayPal, it will give you the option of either using your PayPal account if you have one, or paying with a debit or credit card. Okay, most of us use a debit and credit card because we don't have a PayPal account. I don't. Okay, once you do that and you finish that process, it will give you a receipt screen that tells you that you have paid. And when that's done, the system will send out an acknowledgement email to you that will give you more information about the lesson. Included in that email, in the body of the email and at the bottom of that email will be 2 attachments in 2 different formats of the lesson handout. You can just click on those and it will display that, and then you can actually print those, and that gives you a hard copy that you can use to review before the lesson markup and so forth. Okay, it also contains a link to the Zoom webinar. Okay, if it's going to be a live lesson, down farther in the email, you'll see a blue box that says join webinar. That's what you click on, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 to 15 minutes before the lesson is supposed to start. That will automatically put you into the webinar. Okay, if it's a recorded lesson, it will the acknowledgement you get will say that the lesson is going to occur on 31st of December of 2021. That date's going to change and roll forward. Okay, inside of the acknowledgement email is the link to the recorded Zoom video webinar. Okay, that's what you use to access the recorded lesson, not anything related to the Zoom webinar itself. I know this is a kludge, but it's the only way that I could put something into the system that was on demand was to, in essence, provide you the information in the acknowledgement email and, in essence, use the webinar acknowledgement as a way to carry that information. So that pretty much summarizes what you're going to get within the lecture, the course handout or the lesson handout. You'll have the information, the slides that I'm going to use in the lecture, and also at the end, it's going to have the hands that are going to be part of the SharkBridge practice environment. Okay, that's so that you have the capability of reviewing stuff before the lessons to get ready, and also after the lessons to, in essence, go back and refresh your memory as to what was said, and also the hands and how they were played. Okay. Now, joining the Zoom webinar, you're going to do that probably 5 to 10 minutes before the scheduled time the lesson is to start. Again, you just click on the blue button inside of that acknowledgement email. You'll also get a lesson reminder one day before the lessons occur, and the link will be in there also. Okay, and you just click on that and go forward. There are some situations where people have old versions of Zoom, and it's the system, I don't know why it doesn't automatically update. I think that's a situation with some older versions, but you can go online and ask for a YouTube video or a Google search of how to update your Zoom version, and do that if you're having any problems. Okay, there are two parts of the lesson. There's the lecture portion. That'll generally be somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 to 40 minutes. And then there will be the SharkBridge portion. And typically there will be 6 to 8 hands that are played. And the process for doing that is that I will give a background of the hand and then ask you to play it. Once you're done, we'll go back, I'll replay the hand, go through it, and instruct you as how you should do something. And then if it makes sense, we'll play the hand again. So that takes somewhere in the neighborhood of about 10 minutes a hand. You plan on a lesson lasting somewhere in the neighborhood of an hour and a half. Okay, once that's done, we'll close up the SharkBridge environment. We'll revert back to the Zoom environment, and I'll open up a question and answer period. And answer your questions. One thing that I've noted in terms of the getting used to the technology, there's a couple of things you need to know how to do. One of them is to find the Zoom chat box. Now how to do that varies depending on the type of device you have. With Windows, it's pretty intuitive. Down at the bottom of the screen, there's a toolbar, and one of the icons is chat. You just click on that and it opens the box. With Apple devices, it's a little bit more difficult. I've been told there are 3 dots typically up in the right-hand corner you can click on, and the menu opens up and you click on chat, but I have never done it, so you just have to go ahead and test it, learn for yourself. If you have any problem finding the chat box, how to use it, do a Google search with YouTube and the device type and chat box. The same is true of how to manage your device with multiple windows. When you start the lesson, there'll be a Zoom window that opens, and that's what you'll be watching while you're participating in the lesson. Okay, when we start SharkBridge, it opens another window, and it's layered on top of your Zoom window. Several people have had problems because they've, in essence, clicked on something and had the Zoom window on top and can't see the SharkBridge window anymore. Okay, so you need to make sure you can move back and forth between different types of windows, between the windows, so that you have the right window on top, so that when you're in SharkBridge, you're actually seeing the SharkBridge window and not Zoom, because I will have an avatar window open for SharkBridge and keep playing the hands also. So several people have said, well, I see the hands being played and I can't do anything about it. That's because you're watching the Zoom window and not the SharkBridge window. All right, now, okay, so the logon process is easy. I'll give you we'll walk through the steps of that later in this particular lesson, this part of the SharkBridge bootcamp. Okay, and one of the little intricacies of the Zoom is that to ask a question, I'm going to have everybody's microphone locked. to ask a question, you need to click on raise your hand. Okay, and I'll be able to see that, and then open up your microphone so you can ask the question. All right, let's get started on the actual meat of this. Okay, and we're going to talk about defensive strategies today. Okay, in terms of defense is at least 50% of the game, probably a little bit more. But think about it, you know, out of every 4 hands, you're going to be the declare once, you're going to be the dummy once, and you're going to be on defense twice. So when you're not sitting there twiddling your thumbs, 66% of the time, you're going to be playing defense. That's a pretty big component of the game. Now, unfortunately, defense is generally the weakest component of a bridge player's game. And why? Well, because it's something that involves communication with another person, just like bidding. But in bidding, you get to make bids that communicate specific information to your partner. During defense, all we have available to us are the cards that we play. So the card that you play, when and in what sequence, is a language, just like bidding. So that really becomes the basis of the defense, is what cards you play when, okay, and what that communicates to your partner. Okay, and so good defense requires clear, agreed upon communication between partners. Okay, so you really want to be on the same sheet of music with your partner. There's a lot of little items inside of defense. So, you know, the more that you work on defense with a partner or your partners, the better you're going to be. Because if you lead the ace, they're going to know that you're leading that from at least the ace king, okay, rather than just a singleton ace or so forth. So, you know, there's particular little conventions that are used on how to play the cards. Okay, now the defense against a suit contract is very different than the defense against a no trump contract. Okay, the no trump goals are establish your tricks and take your tricks as soon as quickly. It's basically a race between you and the declarer. So you're going to want to develop your longest and your best suit as quickly as possible. Okay. Also, you're going to want to try to stop the declarer from establishing tricks in their suit. Again, it's a race. You're going to try to establish a suit. The declarer is going to try to establish the suit. Whoever gets there first generally wins. We're going to see that over and over again through this lesson series. Okay, in a suit contract, it's a lot different, okay, because the declarer has named Trump. So Trump are really the most powerful asset that the declarer has. So the more that you can minimize the value of the Trump suit, the better. So there's particular times when you want to lead Trump, or you want to force the declarer to Trump so that you end up with more Trump than the declarer, and so forth. Now, at the same time, you want to make sure that you develop and take all of your non-Trump suit tricks as quickly as possible, because the declarer is going to try to discard his losers. Okay, so again, this is another race that's taking place in that you're trying to establish your winners and take them, and the declarer is trying to throw his losers away on winners or to trump them. So, you know, this is kind of the story of the turtle and the hare. And I don't know which one you are or which one I am, but generally I'm going to bet on the hare. All right. Okay, let's look at the defensive plan, the chronology. Okay, it's critical that each defender formulate a defensive plan based upon all the available information. So while you're bidding, you're formulating a plan. Now, don't be rushed when in terms of formulating your defensive plan. Okay, you know, and there's particular times where you want to kind of step back for a second or two and make sure that you looked at all the information. Now, you're going to be collecting information during the bidding, and then when the opening lead is made, when the dummy is faced, and so forth. Now, in terms of defense, the opening lead is the most important part of the war. Okay, you know, probably 50% of all hands in terms of defense are won or lost on the opening lead. And then you add to that, probably 25% or 50% of the remaining hands are won or lost based upon the first card that your partner plays, because it's communicating information. So the better the opening lead, the higher the percentage chance you're going to set the opponent. It's a critical part of the game. Okay, now there's really three components or decisions that you need to make in terms of deciding on what the opening lead should be. The first one is what type of lead, okay? And you're going to go, well, what do you mean by what type of lead? Well, you can have a temporizing lead that says, you've got the ace king, you can lead it, and you get a pre-look at the dummy because you can win that first trick, and it delays the decision as to what you actually have to do. It also allows you to gather information from your partner based on the signals they give you. So, you know, there are attacking leads, there are passive leads, and so forth. And we'll go through those, and I'll explain those. The majority of that's going to be in lesson number 1. Okay, the next thing you have to do is to decide on what suit to lead. Okay, so you can see I'm breaking this up into step-by-step questions that you need to ask and to answer in order to get to the right answer. So once you decide, you decide on the type and then the suit, you need to decide on what card to lead. Okay, so this isn't just something you look at your hand and say, oh, I'm going to lead the 2 of hearts. No, it's a logical process to say, based upon the bidding and so forth, what type of lead do I need to make? Okay, did my partner tell me they wanted something led? You know, do I need to attack? Should it be passive? If so, then what suit best suits that purpose? Then within that, what card is going to communicate the most information to my partner and give us the greatest potential developing tricks or taking tricks? Okay, now you're going to continue to update your plan after the auction as soon as your partner makes the opening lead. That's going to give you a tremendous amount of information. The other thing is going to happen is the dummy is going to get faced. Look at the dummy. Take an inventory of what the dummy has and how it interrelates with your hand. Okay, if the dummy's got the queen 10 and you've got the king jack, you've got 2 cards that are sitting behind the dummy that makes the values in the dummies have a lot less value. So it's critical that you use your eyes and your ears to process the information that you've got available to you. Okay, now on the converse, your partner, the person who's making the opening lead, needs to update his hand or her hand based upon what they see in the dummy after the opening lead, and then the information that you provide when you play your first card. So you can see how this process continues. After every card is played, every card is going to provide information about the defense and how it should be progressed. And based upon what the cards are playing and the information being communicated, you need to adjust your plan. Okay, so it's a continual process and you got to stay awake. Okay, let's look at some of the issues that affect defense. Well, yeah, and you're going to say, well, these are a little bit strange. Okay, so yeah, they are, but they're all factors within the game. There's the environmental, what I call the environmental and psychological issues. Okay, and one of them is vulnerability. If you're vulnerable versus not vulnerable, it affects how people play. Okay, and generally not the way that it should. Okay, when people are non-vulnerable, they're typically more aggressive. Now, the converse should actually be true. And you go, well, that doesn't make sense. They can get bigger penalties if they're vulnerable. Well, there are bigger penalties, but they're also bigger rewards. So if you can make 4 spades vulnerable, you get a bonus of 500 points playing duplicate. And if you're not vulnerable, you only get 300. So because there's a greater reward, you should actually be more aggressive when you're vulnerable than when you're not vulnerable. But this is something that you learn over time, and it helps refine your bridge judgment. But just pay attention to the vulnerability and the tendency for people to be more aggressive when they're not vulnerable. Okay, especially and which is good. That's the right thing to do on lower level contract. It's to be more aggressive on non-vulnerable, because if you get set 2 tricks, you go to 3 spades, get set 2 tricks, you're not vulnerable, it's 100 points. If they could have made 3 hearts, that's 140, so the -100 is a better score. So there's a balancing act there. You need to understand that. Okay, the type of game. Okay, there are team games and there are match point pair games. Okay, people are generally more aggressive in the team games because they say, well, if our opponents are going to bid game, we should bid game. Okay, because again, the risk reward equation comes into play. If they can accidentally make a vulnerable game, they get 620 points. And you decided, well, it was too risky. You make the 10 tricks also. You get 170 points. That's a difference of 450. That's going to be 11 imps, and that may be enough to sink your battleship. All right, winning versus losing. Okay, if somebody is losing in a match, a team game, they're going to become more aggressive. If they're playing in a pairs game, they need a good score to get into the winners column to get some master points. They're going to be a bit more aggressive. Okay, so if you have that information available to you, use it. Okay, also the skill of the players comes into play. Strong players or experienced players, if they know that you're an inexperienced player or a weak player, they're going to try to intimidate you. Okay, and conversely, if you're a weak player, know that they're going to try to do that. And just part of the process of becoming a better bridge player in understanding the information that's available to you. Okay, now let's look at what I call the strategic issues. Okay, and obviously I'm going to talk about tactical issues too. Okay, so from a strategic standpoint, what did the bidding tell you? Where are the points? You should be able to have a pretty good idea at the end of the auction of who has how many points, where they're located, and the probable location of the various honors. Okay, now there's a basic decision now based upon the information that's been collected, whether you want to make a temporizing attacking or passive lead. Okay, and there's a couple of more categories that come into play, but we'll define those in detail at a later time. Okay, then one of the real challenges of defense is visualization. Visualization is determining what cards does your partner need to have in his or her hand in order to set the contract. Okay, so if you go through this process and determine that the only way that you can set the contract is your partner has the king of clubs, then you have to play the defense based upon the assumption that your partner has the king of clubs. And that becomes a really important skill to develop in determining when you can possibly set the contract, when you can't, when you need to take tricks, and so forth. Okay, part of this overall process again is what suit to lead, and then these are what I'm going to call the strategic issues. Okay, what type of lead, what suit to lead. Then we're going to get into the tactical issues of what card, what card tells your partner reinforces the type and the suit decisions by giving more information about explicitly about the cards that you have in your hand. Okay. Now, many people don't know this, but there's a different set of lead conventions for breaking a new suit after the opening lead. The rules are different. You're going to be communicating different information. So be aware that things change after the opening lead. We use one set of rules for the opening lead. We will use a different set of rules for breaking a new suit after the opening lead. Okay, and then within defense, we have three different types of signals. One is attitude, whether we like the suit, whether we want our partner to continue the suit or not. We have count that says, hey, we've got an odd or an even number of cards in the suit. And suit preference, what suit preference signals are, says, hey, I want you to lead clubs. Hey, I want you to lead spades. Okay, so you're actively communicating with your partner. Now, when your signal is attitude, count, or suit preference actually becomes situational. Okay, and while at first it seems rather complicated, once you start to understand what those situations are, it becomes pretty easy to do. Okay, you can see your game improve incrementally every week in terms of defense as you learn and you put these skills into effect. Okay, and then what are they? When do you do it? How do you do it? Those all become issues that we're going to address as part of this course. All right, well, let's go on. Strategic based upon what you see and hear. Okay, it's really critical. Okay, decipher the bidding is like the Sherlock Holmes mystery about the barking dog. All right, did the dog bark? Did the dog not bark? Okay. I've never really been heavy into mysteries, but that's kind of what bridge is all about. Okay, seeing, understanding what's in your hand. Now, you have two eyes, but a lot of times we really don't look at our hands. Okay, the whole concept of understanding your cards is understanding the relationship between the various cards. Okay, and card sense is not an innate. It's not something you're born with. It is something that you can learn, and it's something you can improve on every time you play your hand. Okay, so but if you don't look at your hand, and conversely, if you don't look at the dummy and really see the cards and how they fit together and how they either complement each other or how they relate to one another, you're not going to be a very good bridge player because you're not using the information that's available to you. Okay, it's critical and to listen, analyze what was bid and what wasn't bid. I've got on a blue shirt, so that's a piece of positive information. So that's equivalent to saying what was bid. Okay, but if my shirt's not red, it's not white, it's not polka dot, so forth. And that's equivalent to what wasn't bid. So the body of knowledge of what did not happen is a lot bigger and a lot more informative than what was bid. But you need to pay attention to both sides of that coin and put them together so that you have a better understanding of what's happening at the bridge table. Okay, now again, the sequence of the bidding becomes very important. For example, if your left-hand opponent opens one club, that goes one club, pass, and then his partner bids a heart, and then he bids a spade, and his partner bids two spades, you know that the opener's second suit is probably a 4-4 fit, and you can use that information. So it's really critical that you pay attention to these things and piece together the puzzle, put the puzzle pieces together as they occur. Don't wait until the auction is done to say, okay, let me figure out what the opponents are saying, what my partner is saying. You've got to update your information set every time there's a bid. Okay, so by the end of the auction, you should have a pretty good idea of what the number of cards in each suit are in each hand. Not going to be accurate, it'll be within one or two, but that's pretty good, and you'll refine that as you go on. And then the number of points in each hand. Okay, so there are an awful lot of situations where you can estimate within 1 or 2 points how many points are in each hand. If you have an idea of how many points are in the declares and the dummy's hand, and you can look at your hand, you can estimate the number of points in your partner's hand. And let's say that comes up to 7, you know they could have an ace and king, or they could have 3 queens and a jack. Okay, so as the cards get played, you can refine what your idea of exactly what cards your partner has. Okay, and again, this gets back to visualization of placing cards in your partner's hand in order to defeat the contract. Okay, now you're also going to be collecting information from the opponent's bidding. Now, the most important thing when you play somebody is to know what system they're using. If they're using 2-over-1, standard American, precision, because without knowing what ballpark you're in, it's pretty hard to figure out where in the heck you are. Okay, then what are the expected? Then you can figure out and know what the expected shape of points are in relationship to each bid and how that relates to the number of cards that they have in the hand. You can also then figure out, is this hand distribution or very distributional, or does it appear to be kind of balanced? All of this information is going to be valuable to you in determining the type of lead that you're going to make and figuring out your exact defensive strategy. Okay, now it all sounds a little bit complicated, but it kind of all just kind of blossoms and occurs in front of you, and it gets easier and easier to do every time you play. Okay, so lots of little questions you can ask yourself. Did the opponents agree on a second suit as trump? Okay, how does that relate to the fit? Is it a 4-4? Is it a 5-3? Is it a 6-2? These things affect how you might want to formulate your defensive strategies. Okay, you can also tell an awful lot of times, are they planning on counting on a cross run to make the contract? If they are, leading trump can be very, very effective because you're limiting the number of times that they can cross run. Okay, do the opponents have a strong sight? Are they going to try to force it down your throat? Okay, did they open 1 club, or did the bidding go like 1 club, then 1 heart, then 3 clubs? 3 clubs would say, hey, I've got 6+ clubs and 16+ points. Okay, they are planning on running that suit down your throat if they're in no trump. Okay, did they make or not make a rebid, a reverse, or a jump shift? Okay, these tell you if they don't do those things, it gives you information about the shape of their hand, limits their points, and so forth. Now, another thing is kind of psychologically, did they stretch to get to the contract? Did the contract bidding go 1 spade, 2 spades, 3 spades, then 4 spades? Okay. Or did it go 1 spade, 4 spades? Okay. Now, in one case, they're very confidently bidding the contract. Another one, they're kind of sneaking up on it. Okay. Another tell is that did they avoid 3 no trumps? They bid 3 suits and decide they don't have they don't have a stopper in that 4th suit and end up in 4 level of a minor suit contract. Okay, if that's the case, it tells you immediately what suit you should lead because they've already told you. They're waving a flag and saying, hey, we don't have a stopper in that suit. Okay, and they're, do you run into the situation where they have an obvious misfit? They open 1 heart, the partner goes 1 spade, the other person goes 2 hearts, the partner goes 2 spades, and the opener goes 3 hearts. Guess what? They've got a misfit. One's got hearts, one's got spades. They probably have a singleton or void in each other's suits. Hey, take advantage of that. Okay. Another one is if they open no trump and immediately load 3 no trump, they've denied the majors because they didn't use statement or another way to investigate a major suit fit. Okay, and a lot of us use help suit game tries. Okay, if you do a help suit game try and your partner says, "Hey, I don't have any help," what you said is, "Hey, I need help in clubs." And your partner says, I don't have help in clubs." Now, if you're listening, it becomes pretty obvious from a defensive strategy that you want to lead clubs. Okay, did they not use a maximal double in a competitive auction? These are all things that kind of help you piece together the puzzle. Okay, and the same is true from the standpoint of your partner's bidding in terms of what they did and what they didn't do, so you can determine the number of points that your partner has. For example, you open and it goes pass, and your partner passes. Guess what? Your partner's got 0 to 5 points. Okay, and the opponents get in the auction. They set the contract. Don't count on your partner for very much. Okay, so the shape of the hands and so on. So these are all things that that occur during the bidding. Now, one of them I want to point out here is, did your partner not make a lead directing double? For example, your right-hand opponent opens 1 no trump, you pass, your partner bids 2 clubs, and your partner passes. Your partner had the opportunity to double the 2 clubs, which is an artificial bid to say, hey, if you get in the lead clubs. That's a lead directing double. So there's lots of different varieties of this that occur within the bidding system if you know about them. Okay, and one of the segments of the course focuses on these things. Is later in the course, but these are all things that incrementally give you a really, really great defensive capability. All right, so I'm not going to go through all of these things. You can research and think about these things yourself and factor them into your decision process in terms of formulating a strategy. Okay, now, one of the really important things is you've collected all this information. Okay, look at your hand, look at the dummy, analyze and process the information, and use the darn information. Don't get lazy just because you've got a crappy hand. Okay, crappy hands make the difference. Playing good defense with a crappy hand makes the difference between a good defensive player and a great defensive player. Okay, because communicating that information to your partner can be critical in setting the contract, because you're managing his or her expectations. And if you can clearly tell them that you've got crap, don't count on you for anything, it's going to make a big, big difference on what they do and when they do it. So really play great defense when you've got a crappy hand. Okay, and make sure that I want to put this up. I want to remind you of the obvious. Okay, I want to chastise you and motivate you. But when you've got that crappy hand, really pay attention and to what you're telling your partner, because it really, really helps. All right. Now, that's kind of an overview of the major things that affect formulating your defense strategy. It's an art. Okay, over time you'll get more and more experience and start to see the little tells that tells you all of when those things occur, and be able to process them. The light bulbs will just go off like flash bulbs. Okay, now let's take a look at the way this course is put together. Okay, it's a very comprehensive course, and it's a long course because, let's be fair. Okay, how many courses can you possibly take on bidding? Oh, 100 or 200 different lessons. because there's all these different conventions and all these different things that get cobbled together. Okay, now you're a declarer 25% of the time. You're on defense 50% of the time. Don't you think that the number of lessons you should be taking on defense should be twice as many? Fortunately, defense is a lot easier in terms of the number of topics and the application of those topics than bidding, because there's not as much variety. There's only so many ways that you can play the two of the suit. Okay, in bidding, there's lots and lots of different ways you can define a bid. Okay, so now I used an analogy, and not my war is not my thing, but I used an analogy of war in terms of the overall defense course. So the first part of defense is what I call the part one of a pincer movement. Okay, remember, pincer movement is you take two forces and you bring one in from the left and you bring one in from the right, and you start shooting the enemy in the middle. All right, that's a squeeze. All right, so part one of the pincer movement is the opening lead. Okay, the most important decision, the most important act of the war. Just like if that's the first battle in the war is typically the most important. Okay, so we're dividing this up into a set of lessons. Okay, the first one is what type of lead to make. The second is what suit to lead. Then what card to lead. All right, now within this, we're going to analyze what suit. We're going to analyze what's suit and so forth to lead in various situations against no trump and suit contracts. So in lesson 4, it's what suit to lead when it was a partner directed or requested, and different power leads. And so I've divided this into smaller increments that are bite-sized and build upon one another. So we can go from directed power leads and development leads to short suit leads. Then when it's a suit contract, when to lead trump and what trump to lead. And if you're not leading trump, what suit to lead, okay? And what card to lead with once you've figured out what suit to lead. Okay, so this is covers these 8 lessons cover are comprised of the first segment of the course, and we all focus on the opening lead to give you a really good appreciation of what to lead when. All right, the second part is the third C. Okay, and this is the first card that's going to be played by the partner of the opening leader. Okay, so you have different situations that occur when your partner leads low, trying to win the trick. There's things called playing your lowest equal and things like that to give you a good sense of when and how to play the cards. Okay, if your partner led low, when not to play the highest card after what the dummy plays. And then we're going to get into signals in relationship to the partner of the opening lead, what he's going to be saying back to the opening lead in terms of attitude signals, suit preference signals that are situational in nature, okay, because it's not as easy. If you read the basic defense books on defense, it'll say, well, when your partner leads, you give an attitude signal. When the opponent's lead, you give a count signal. Not that easy, because there's a lot of situations where your partner leads and you're not going to give an attitude signal, because you look over and you see that the dummy has a void. An attitude signal at that particular point is totally worthless, because who cares if you're going to continue the suit or not, because the declarer is going to trump it. That suit is now worthless. So it's no longer an attitude signal, but a signal suit preference. Okay, so you can see how this develops. These topics will give you a fuller understanding of how to do what and when. All right, now So that's the second part. And that really comprises probably at that particular point 75 to 80% of the probability of whether you're going to be successful on defense or not. Because if you don't open up the war correctly or your defense correctly in terms of the right suit or giving the right information in response to the opening lead, everything else may be for naught. All right. Now, the third component is I call countering the enemy. Okay. And there's some components when you return the partner's suit. When the third hand plays before the dummy leads an honor. Okay. Or the dummy leads low. These are all various situations that you're going to want to be able to handle. And grinding out the land war is number 4. Okay, and this is where, we're going to get into the lead conventions for breaking a new suit, and then looking at the dummy and understanding what the declarer has, keeping parity so that you don't throw away cards that you shouldn't throw away, establishing their suits. Okay, how to play from the 4th seat, destroying declares communication. Okay, and there are times where you can look at the dummy and say, he's going to try to set up those diamonds and he's got an outside entry in hearts. Let's kill that entry in hearts so that he can't communicate with the dummy. It becomes very important. Now, at the same time, you want to destroy his communication or her communication. You want to preserve your ability to communicate with your partner. Okay. And these are different strategies. I'm not going to go into all the characteristics of these. These are something we'll talk about later. Okay, now also, there's an awful lot of capabilities playing defense to lie to the declarer. Okay, we'll call these feints, so that you're actually trying to give him false information when you know it's not going to affect your partner, so he or she plays the hand wrong. And there's other times where you can know something that the declarer doesn't know, and you're going to make them guess. Okay, for example, the ace queen is sitting in dummy and you have the king and you're sitting in front of the dummy. If you lead low in that suit, the declarer's got to guess, do I play the ace or I play the queen? If he doesn't have the jack, he may very well pop up with that ace and set up your king. So you're in essence saying you're playing on the psychology there. So, well, he's not going to lead. He's not going to underlead this king. He's going to lead through my power that he can see to his partner, who probably has the king. So there's different ways of playing and using strategy, what I call deception in the defense. Now, the last segment of the course has to do with preparing for the war during the auction. This is where we get into the various different conventions that are used to tell you that where you can integrate the defensive information into the auction so you can use it later. One is the lead directing double, or the Leitner double against slam contracts, Leitner double against 3-no trump. The Rosencrantz double, it's a low-level double that tells your partner whether you have the ace or king in his bid suit. Okay, there's another one called the McCabe transfer. There's Kokish and other transfers. I mean, it kind of goes on and on and on. Okay, we're going to go back a little bit here. And, these are all things that become very, very important in terms of setting up your defensive strategy. Now, these are also used in a way so that if the opponent do something stupid, you can punish them. It's kind of like the blitzkrieg, The reopen double becomes really kind of interesting because it says, hey, partner, I've got extra values and I'm short in their suit. And your partner goes, well, I'm sitting behind them and I got 5 of their suit. You got extra values. We're just going to convert that reopen double into penalty doubles and we're going to crush them. Okay, so there's a lot of things that come into play. Okay, and here's some other concepts of taking no prisoners, of getting them to go one level too high so you can set them. One I call the crossfire, forcing the opponents to bid game. Okay, now there's a kind of art here. If you only want to force the opponent to bid game if you know you can set them, and if you that's the goal, is to get them to go too far. The I call here dropping the bomb, the rule of 22 penalty double. If you've got 22 or 23 plus points and the opponents are bidding at 3, 4, 5 level, you better be doubling them for penalty. Okay, entrapment, Bell's rule of 9. I'm not going to go into all of these, but there are a lot of little things there that you need to be aware of. Okay, let's talk about SharkBridge for a minute. I'm going to give you a quick tutorial on how to use SharkBridge. Okay, this is the first screen that you're going to see once you click on the link that I send you as part of the lesson. Okay, and you can see you've got the nickname here. Now, what you want to put in for your nickname is like your name, full name, Al Smith. Okay, you can ignore your partner's nickname and this other little thing, and then just click continue. Okay, that will then take you right into SharkBridge. I have things set up. You'll seat you at a table, and typically you will be seated south. Okay, if I don't have things set up, it says please wait to be seated, and I have to do a little initialization, and then you'll be seated at the table. So don't get worried if you get this screen. All right, now here is what the screen looks like on SharkBridge. Okay, I'm going to walk through and just point out the various components. Okay, obviously this hand down here is your hand, and your name should be right here. Okay, whatever you put in. If it says Al the dummy, you're not looking at the SharkBridge window, you're looking at the Zoom window. Okay, so you need to make sure you get on the right window. So this is your hand. Okay, and everybody's going to be looking at the same thing because everybody's going to be sitting at their own individual table. All right, moving on. Here's your partner's hand. Yay, if you've got a partner. You can see their hands, see how they fit together. All right, you got the ace of hearts, you got the king of hearts, just like regular bridge table. Okay, now, here's the seat indicator. We've got north, east, south, and west. Okay, then we've got the auction. The auction is going to be displayed up here in the upper left-hand corner. Now, there are times, because this box is limited in size, there'll be so many bids, they won't all be visible, but you can scroll. There's a scroll bar on the side of here when that occurs, where you can move it up and down so you can see the full set of bids. All right, now, when you get ready to play a card, you can click on a card the first time. That will pop up like this, and then you click again, it will actually play the card. Now, in terms of information, it allows you to see the last trick. It'll be over here down at the bottom right-hand side of the screen. Now, down in here, this is a little confusing. And here we'll see north-south, 0, 9. Now, what this 0/9 refers to is because the contract is 3-note trump, that you need to take 9 tricks. And so far, you've taken 0 tricks. So it gives you the count of how well you're doing to getting to your goal of taking the 9 tricks. And then it gives you the number of tricks that the opponents have won. The next thing is the undo request. Okay, if you play a card and say, nah, I don't want to do that one, just click on undo. Since you're the only one at the table, no permission is needed to undo. I'll take that card back, stick it in your hand, and that way you can correct your mistakes while you're going through the process. Well, same thing here, chat to the director. You only need to use this if you need to get my attention, and generally that doesn't occur. I haven't gotten too many requests from people during the SharkBridge. All right, so now this would be the time we're going to take, I would answer questions. Okay, allow you to raise hands. Hand is raised. I'll click on you, give you permission to open your mic and ask the question. All right, now would be time to go to the SharkBridge. Okay, and the way we do this is that I take the link that's for the shark game, and I put it in the chat window. You click on that. Right, so that's what we're going to do now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to already go to the SharkBridge screen. and click on share there. I'm going to expand that. Right now, you can see this is the screen that you get when once you click on the link. So I put in my nickname is Al the Dummy. Don't have to put anything in for the partner nickname. Okay, so we're just going to click on continue. Okay, wow, I'm in SharkBridge. You see how quick that was? All right, now, okay, I can control a lot of things from my SharkBridge instructor console. Okay, I actually have that up on another computer and I have to multitask. Okay, but what we're going to do is we're going to go through two hands to give you an idea of how to use SharkBridge. Okay, and the first thing we want to do is we're going to look at our hands. Okay, we've got 6 spades. We've got only 7 points, but we've got 6 spades, and we're going to review the auction. East dealt up here. You see 1 no trump. Okay, now we thought about bidding 2 spades, but decided against it. Okay, so we passed. In the West over here, Mr. Roboto jumped immediately to 3 spades. Now, as soon as it went pass. Now, as soon as it went 1 no trump, 3 no trump, we're going to go ding, ding, ding. The lights flash, and we say they avoided the majors. Okay, so immediately we should say we're not leading the minor unless we've got a super minor suit. And in this case, we don't. We say we're going to lead one of the majors. Okay, now, okay, we've got 6 spades and 2 hearts, so we already know what suit we want to run, because if we've got a good 5+ card suit, we're going to lead that. All right, now, this is kind of a brain teaser, okay? In the past, when we had this hand, we would always lead 4th, okay? Because it's 4th from the longest and strongest. I imagine you've heard that a zillion times. Well, that adage is close to being dead in certain situations. This will be something I'll give you the details on, explain why it works, and so forth in the later lessons, okay, as it relates to the opening lead. But when you've got 5+ cards in a suit, and it's a strong suit, okay, like with the ace king or the king queen, you don't lead 4th. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to lead the ace. Okay, and what the ace says, that it used to say, drop your honor, partner. Doesn't say that anymore. It says, I've got a strong suit. So there's a lot that's changed in the last 10 years in terms of the opening leads and the signals. Yeah, you'd think after playing bridge for 100 years, things wouldn't change, but they are changing because there's been better mathematical analysis on the hands and what to do when. Okay, and in this case, the West plays the 3, and our partner is going to play the 9. Now the 9, and I'm going to, in essence, come back over here, and I'm going to let you see all the cards. So as I discuss that, you can see the rationale. There's a convention called the Foster Echo. Okay, that goes with no trump, and that's one of the lessons later on. It says play your second best. That way you give your partner information about the quality of the cards that you've got in his or her suit, and subsequently count information. So by playing the 9, our partner knows we've got 1 higher. Go, oh boy, my partner's got the queen or the jack, or the 10. Okay, but we can see the 10 over here in the dummy. So we know it's not the 10, so he's got the queen or the jack. Okay, and now the East plays the 7. Okay, East plays the 7. And you, the opening leader, go, well, where in the heck is the 5? Where's the 5? Well, and you surmise, well, my partner must have the 5 because neither one of these goobers has it. Because if he had the 5, East, just based upon human characteristics, he had the queen 7-5, would probably play the 5 first. At least 90% of the players in the world do it that way. The really, really good players would play the 7 just to screw you up. Okay, but now you go, okay, well, I have only one chance. If my partner's got the 5, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and continue by playing the king. Okay, and the 10 gets played, and our partner says, aha, I've got the jack 5. I'm going to unblock. They play the jack and go, oh, wow, why did you throw away that good jack? Okay, because he did not, he wants to be able to make sure that he doesn't take the trick and prevent his partner from taking tricks. And lo and behold, the declare drops the queen. All right, now you can see that we can now continue with that 8. They have to throw something away. We'll throw away a club. And now the partner, North, throws away the 5. If they kept that king or that jack, they'd get locked in and the opponents would make the contract. So you can see there's all sorts of stuff happening here, you know, in terms of the opening lead and what the partner's telling you and unblocking and all this other stuff. It's really cool. When it works really well. And you go, wow, this is cool. Okay. So as we can see what happens now, we've got 3 more spade tricks. We're going to take 3 spade tricks. Okay, we're taking the first 6 tricks. They're down 2. Isn't that sweet? All right, so you can see how all these pieces can come together, because if you had led anything else but that ace, king of spades, and your partner did all that unblocking and so forth, they make the contract. Actually, if you don't, let's go back to the very beginning here. If you don't lead a spade to begin with, they're going to take 13 tricks. They're going to take 5 diamond tricks. Well, I take that back. No, they're going to take 13. 5 diamond tricks, 4 club tricks, and 3 heart tricks. That's for a total of 13 tricks. However, because we led the right thing in the right way, they're down 2. So you can see how big of a difference good defense can make. Okay, let's go to now. What we'll do in the live lessons versus recorded lessons like this is I'll have you play the hand, then I'll hit replay and I'll provide explanations of what should be done or what shouldn't be done. Then I'll let you play the hand again. That way you can get the real look and feel and apply what you've learned in terms of the replay. Then we'll go to the next deal. So we're going to go to the next deal now. Okay, and you can see that the new hand will come up. So we go through the same process again. In this case, the 1 heart, pass, 2 hearts, 3 hearts, 4 hearts. Now, this is the situation where the opener says, okay, I've got hearts. And the responder says, hey, I've got 3+ hearts and 6 to 9 points. And he says, well, I've got a little bit extra. If you're at the top end, go to 4 hearts. And he does. So you know they're kind of sneaking up on it. So they probably have somewhere in the neighborhood of 24 to 27 points. Okay, and we look at this, we go 3, 6, 7. They've got 24 to 27. Let's assume they've got 25. Okay, so there's 15 points outstanding. So it says our partner's got 8 points. Okay, now we know it's probably 5. There's probably 3 hearts. So they probably have 8 hearts between them. And they snuck up on this contract. Okay, we go, what should we do? Okay, we look at the hand and say, well, we got the king, jack of clubs. We don't lead away from that because we can be sitting behind east and take tricks. And if we lead that, he just going to gobble us up. We got the king of diamonds. We don't want to lead diamonds either. And spades, it might be all right, but what does that do for us? You know, I lead spades, it goes around, I finesse my partner. Okay, so you go, well, they're probably counting on a cross rub. All right, we go, okay, they're counting on a cross rub. So what we're going to do is we decide that we're going to make an attacking lead by leading trumps to minimize their roughing ability. Cool. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to lead the two of hearts. Okay, now you go, why the two? Well, I want to point out that most of us would naturally lead two of hearts, but which heart we lead is actually a signal to our partner about what suit we want led back. You'll learn about that later, but what we're saying with that two of hearts, hey, if you get a lead, I want a club. Okay, so that's pretty cool too. So that gets led and says, okay, and the declarer says, I need to immediately try to set up a diamond trick. So he's going to take the trick in his hand and come back and say, I'm going to lead, and he says, okay, I'm going to lead a diamond. Okay, and I'm going to try to finesse that queen. And it goes there, and he plays the 4 to indicate that he's got 1, 3, or 5. And oh yeah, might as well. I'll let you see all the cards. Okay, I'll come over here and say let's see all the cards. Okay, so we see all the cards now. All right, so we play the 4, and he plays that queen. Okay, plays the queen, and we jump right on it with the king. Yes, we took it. So they've got one trick, we've got one trick, and we say, let's continue leading trumps, okay, to screw up his ability in terms of cross rubbing. So we lead the heart again, okay, and this time it goes, plays the queen, 8 gets played, and the 7. It says, okay, we've still got one more trump out. And he's starting to get worried about what he's going to do and when he's going to do it. It says, well, I really don't have any roughing ability between these two hands. It's a pretty flat hand. So it says, let's go get that last trump. All right, now North plays the 5 of spades. You go, why do you play the 5 of spades? Well, 5 is part of the signaling strategy that we use in defense, and the 5 is part of what's called odd even. The odd says, I like this suit, lead me a spade. Okay, and he comes back and he takes that ace. Says, okay, let's take our diamonds and see if we can create a situation where we've got a rough and a slot. So he leads the ace of diamonds. We do this. Diamonds get played, and it leads another diamond. And we signal that we want a club by playing the 5 of clubs. Okay, and it comes back over here. He takes the diamond. All right, and now he says, hey, I've got to be able to set these spades up so I can throw away my losing clubs. So he leads the king of spades, and our partner jumps on it. Spades get played, and our partner, because they were paying attention to the opening lead of the 2 of hearts and of the reinforcing odd club that I discarded, knows exactly what he's going to do. He's going to lead that ace of clubs, because he said, my partner's got something in clubs. So he leads that ace of clubs, comes around and says, oh, good. Then he leads the 2, and it comes around, and I can see that there's nothing higher in the dummy. I play the jack. Then I take the king. Wow, look at this. We've taken 5 tricks. They've taken 5 tricks. They're in 4. They're already down 2. We're having a happy party. All right. So I won't play the rest of this hand. So what and that's kind of, this is the end of the demonstration of SharkBridge. Okay, so what I do now is I'm going to close SharkBridge, all right, which terminates that. You're going to get this message that says connection lost, okay? And you just press exit, all right? And it brings you back to the your Zoom window. Well, it would bring you back to your Zoom window, but you can just close that window also, how to practice, okay? And now you're back to your Zoom window, okay? And I'm going back to to this, and we're going to come back down to where I would be asking for questions. Okay, so we get back down to to this where it's time for shark. Okay, we're done with shark now, and kind of as a bonus in this lesson, okay, I want to go through a couple of things that you can immediately put to use. Okay, and this is what I call how to avoid the firing squad. These are kind of like major things that you don't want to do on defense. Okay, the first one is don't fall asleep while you're on guard duty. Okay, stay focused, keep processing the information. Your partner is going to be sending you signals, and you should be sending your partner signals. Don't sit there and just flip cards. Stay focused. Don't go to sleep on guard duty. They can put you in front of a firing squad for that. Okay. Don't underlead an ace in a suit contract unless it's a very unusual situation. A very unusual situation is that both of the defenders have 2, 3, 4 of the cards in that suit, and you don't have to worry about your ace getting trumped. Okay. If you underlead that ace, there's a significant probability that your ace will never take a trick. So don't underlead your ace in a suit contract if you can help it. Okay, always win your ace if you can see 8+ cards in the suit, or if you can infer 8+ cards in your hand or another hand, your partner or your dummy, or could be your hand in the declare. For example, the declare opened 1 heart. You got 5 hearts. Between you have 10. Okay, if you've got the ace, win that ace when hearts is played, because odds are the dummy's only got 1 now. So use that simple rule. Okay, always play a forcing card when you can afford it. Now, let me kind of give you, this has been kind of one of the things I've been shot in the head for a number of times. Okay, because I kind of, I'll give you an example. Okay, you've got the Jack 10. The board has Jack 10 something, and the declare leads that suit, and the board has the Queen 8, the dummy. Okay, play the Jack or the 10, force that Queen. Okay, I've got this bad habit. I'll play low. And then the stupid declare, for whatever reason, plays the 8, a low level finesse, and wins the trick, and they get an extra trick. Don't do what I did and play low. Play the forcing card. Don't leave the door open for him to take that low level finesse. So play the forcing card. Okay, declare leads low. You have the Jack 10 9. Now this is the example here. Dummy has the ace queen. Always play the 9. Don't let the declare take the deep finesse. This is an example of playing the forcing card. Okay. Now, body language. Okay. Hide your emotion. Okay. Don't make faces, and control the tempo of your play. For example, there's the ace queen in the dummy, ace queen X. And the declare leads that low in that suit, and you've got the king. Smoothly play your lowest card in the suit in tempo, so that don't hesitate. As soon as you hesitate, go or start to take a card out and put it back in your hand, the declarer will know that you have the king, and it's safe to take that finesse. Keep the declarer guessing. All right. Now, the most important rule of all to keep from getting in front of the firing squad is to forgive yourself and forgive your partner mistakes. Because if you harangue yourself, you're not going to enjoy the game. And if you harangue your partner's not going to be your partner anymore. Okay, so they're going to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. Both of you are going to make lots of mistakes. Learn to forgive each other and enjoy making the mistakes, because every time you make a mistake, you're going to learn something. So forgive yourself. All right. That concludes the lesson for the day. These are the ways that you can contact me. So always feel free to go ahead and send me questions or even give me a call. I'm perfectly willing to talk, and I always try to answer every email. So have a great day. Enjoy yourself.